simulcasting. Wow.
I don't know how I feel.
I feel totally.
I know, right? See, now I'm glad I wore them.
Wow, look, you're very close, Tim and Peter.
간단한 방법이 간단했네요.
네. 뭐지? 연장거. 오케이. 코드 연장.
You want to see
코드
Tim
연장.
and
식으로
이거 안
좀
돼요.
가까이
안
볼까요?
돼요.
그거를?
이거 가까이 돼?
가까이 돼.
Yeah.
잘 보이게.
네.
So he's the YouTube
이거를?
star apparently.
Nah.
잠깐만.
hello.
My God, YouTube
Okay.
star.
Can you send me the YouTube link?
요요.
Okay.
너무 아깝지? 다 얼굴 들어와요? 전부 다?
잠깐 봐야 돼.
저
다
한번
들어와?
안 들어와.
Kayla.
봐봐.
큰일 잘랐어.
There's no
I'm
Kayla. Woohoo!
I'm on YouTube only.
Are we on
이걸로
live?
써, 이걸로.
Yes,
this whole
it's
thing is
right
on-
now. People are watching right now.
People are watching. Oh, everybody just setting this up.
Who's watching?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Say something.
Everybody.
You're watching. Say something.
I don't think a lot of people have the mic on their computer or something. Oh, geez.
I think the mic's coming directly through the.
Yeah.
No,
Through the computer.
How many do you have
감사합니다.
now? We have the
1
million? 1 million?
1 million. Woohoo!
I'm yelling at you.
진짜?
Yeah, sure.
한 명 보고 있네. 한 명.
It would be awesome, but
Okay.
no, that was it.
너무
Oh, yeah.
구조 조금 더 가까우면 좋겠다. 이거를 세워가지고 국자 말씀드려. 이거 세워서 여기다 세워서 하게요.
Listen,
어디?
이거를 다
Yes.
세워가지고 이것만 거기다 올리지 말고.
아니 이거 머리 잡아도 괜찮을 것 같은데?
너무 작잖아.
That's gonna fall off mid.
괜찮.
괜찮아?
됐어.
Don't touch.
Okay.
Never touch.
이걸로?
일단
오케이.
이렇게
That's what my doctor always says. Don't touch. Never
이거는
touch.
배터리 있으세요? 많이?
있을 것 같은데?
So what did your parents say?
몰라.
So,
짧은.
my dad was like, is that our grandson? I was like, yep.
you're watching?
Maybe. Hi, Dad. Hi, Mom. Just in case.
Yeah, my
It's
parents
the stream from last week is still up. I think you can still watch clips from the week before.
Really?
But now we have a new streaming link.
Yeah, and YouTube.
So,
We're on YouTube now, too.
Hopefully you're seeing us live.
Well, I think it's a better idea. You know, the smart guy is just sit at this position. I think it's better. The better scene. No?
Okay.
No?
There. We're ready?
We're ready.
All right. Welcome back. Now it's time for our part 2 where we're discussing media trend. Every week we talk about a different media trend, and as I informed you earlier last week, throughout the week, everywhere, we have a live show with Talk and Talk. With me in the studio, we have Tim, Dennis, and Peter. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
We are live stars.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey to our listeners. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
So our motto for today is if you see something, say something.
Ooh.
Right? Meaning type.
Nice
I
motto.
was gonna say, I feel like you stole that from like a PSA announcement. If you
right.
see something, say something.
How many viewers do we have? Wow. Oh, 10,000, right?
10,000.
10,000. Come on, let's
High
make
five.
it.
Too many. Too many.
Yeah.
10,000.
Too
You
many.
could be
No more. No
10,000
more.
and one.
I was gonna say, I feel like it says 3. We had 4. I feel like we lost 1. It's 3.
Oh,
Three?
we
Okay,
lost
realistic.
one. They had to go to work.
Okay, Tim, how you doing today?
I don't know how I feel.
You know you,
You
don't
look
have
happy.
to say.
I
Yeah, I
mean-
was gonna say.
Yeah, I only look happy outside, but I'm still thinking
Yeah.
to myself, what did I do to deserve this? You know?
You were good in another life.
That's not really helping, isn't it?
All right, and Peter, how you doing today?
Pretty good. I feel very healthy. I did my 40K this
Oh
morning.
my god. Is
Riding,
that how
not
long?
walking.
Every week.
Is that how long it the kilometer wise it takes you? 40 kilometers
Round
to go
trip.
from.
Yeah, 40
round
kilometers one way, and it only takes a couple hours.
That is
The
really
road
healthy.
That's my
80
morning
80K?
commute on Fridays, folks.
I feel like I would get like 5 kilometers in and just be like, nope, sorry, done.
Well, you
Where's the
build
bus?
up to it. You know, I've done this for years now, right? We've been together almost 3 years, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
3 years, guys. Woo!
Oh, geez, that's
not all
nice.
of us, but
Yeah,
you
not
know.
all
Well,
of
yeah.
us, you know.
Right. Okay. And Dennis, how you doing?
I was pretty energetic because I rode a bike just 1K.
Oh yeah, he's
40K, 1K.
Yeah, 1K. All
but
right.
your 1K is very urban, right? You're right in downtown Guangzhou.
That's like
so.
it's the adrenaline rush, dodging cars and
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
the smog. I
Yeah.
don't know. All right. Well, today we are talking about radio for immigrants and plus Gwangju FM community radio for immigrants. Now, there are many Korean living in Korea, in Gwangju anyway, and Korean means Koreans living in Russia and Central Asian countries. During the Japanese occupation, there are many people that left Korea, our land, right, and lived in the Yeonhaeju, which is in the Soviet Union.
Mhm.
And people who lived in Yeonhaeju called themselves Korean, right?
You're right.
Right. Now, the Korean community of Gwangju sent out Korea FM for the first time at 7 p.m. on the 6th of September. That was their inaugural show. And in the broadcast, they talked about the land of their ancestors. They told about their sympathies. They introduced life information such as medical information, educational information, and cultural. Now, in Wolgokdong, the Korean people who returned to their homeland from Russia and Central Asia began to visit since 2008. And it's known that there are roughly about 3,000 people.
3,000 people since
Right.
2008.
Yeah. That's
And concentrated in a certain neighborhood
Yeah, I
here
believe,
in
right?
Gwangju.
Yeah. So, do you guys know that there are many Koreans that live in Gwangju and have their own community? Have you ever met any of them?
Well, just for listeners that might not be familiar, I think they're also referred to as fourth generation ethnic Koreans.
Oh, okay.
I've seen them talked about that way in the media. So just
All right.
and
So
I
if-
checked in with
yeah.
someone and they said, yeah, that's the same. They're talking about the same people.
Right.
basically. Same community.
I wonder if they would have their own unique culture, I guess, if you think about it, because they would have mixed their cultural with, I guess the land, their adopted country's culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering how would we be able to identify them if we happen to be traveling through that neighborhood? What would we see? What would we be hearing? Mixtures of Russian and Korean language,
Tim?
or what?
So actually,
Tim has
I've
an
been,
idea.
I have been to this neighborhood.
Oh,
Really?
Like one day my friends were like, "Hey Tim, did you know there's like a Russian town area in Gwangju?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, you want to go there?" I'm like, "Sure." And we went there, and they were selling a bunch of Russian food, and they didn't get any credit card. It was only like a cash only. But it was a nice restaurant, and there was a lot of Russian places, even though they don't really look Russian from the outside because it's not like signs they're saying Russian letters. But if you go inside, they usually have like a sign saying Russian menus, and underneath it is like some kind of Korean
Right.
English translation beneath it. So I've been to this area and I thought to myself, man, why are there so many Russian speaking Asian looking people around here? But now I know.
That's why
No,
you
no.
learn speaking Russian.
No.
I was
From
gonna say
neighborhood?
every time you're like Pasvidanya
Yeah,
or
Tabarish.
comrades or whatever you say a lot, right? Are you talking to them? Are
No,
you
just
like
to be
sharing?
clear, I don't really speak a lot of Russian.
I thought you
But
studied
you
Russian.
pretended
Yeah,
that
I
you
was
were
gonna
good at
say.
speaking
I thought you were
Russian,
half
right?
Russian when I met you, so
Yeah, right. Okay, jokes enough on you guys. Moving on.
Have you guys actually been to Wolgokdong?
Yeah.
Where is it?
I just
Wolgokdong?
told
how
you.
would I know if I'm
Sorry,
in
I'm a
Wolgokdong?
Gwangju citizen, but I don't know where it is.
Wolgokdong? Isn't that like
In Gwangsan.
I was gonna say, isn't it near like the World Cup Stadium?
World Cup Stadium?
No.
No?
It's not
Where-
near the World Cup Stadium at all because my church is located around there. We usually went the area, for like a lunch or some sort of early dinner after the church. And I'm telling you, it took us like a 1 hour by the bus ride.
Is it maybe near the Gwangju Women's University?
No, it's more around the outskirt area.
Outskirt area,
Yes,
right?
I mean it's not really outskirt, but kind of close to like a Bukul.
Ah, really?
I feel like
okay.
I know.
Where
I've
goes
been
Dong?
there, but like, is it? There's like where the big, like ATSK, all those big cell phone things,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's like an
telecommunication
yeah,
company buildings, right?
yeah,
Then some big
down. Yeah,
earmark.
it's like near the
There's a really wide road,
it's near
right?
my.
Right?
It's, I want to say it's
Expressway.
just near my neck of the woods.
okay, that's very
Listeners,
helpful,
Google
guys.
map it. Yeah,
We need a map.
we
for
need
our
a map.
Visual viewers.
Now, to be honest, I can't honestly say I've ever actually eaten in like a Russian restaurant or been in like a Russian grocery store. So I'm curious, Tim, you said you had. How different is it from like have you ever had authentic Russian food or
Well, I think we actually ordered some, little some dumplings in the Russian style. They also serving some Russian style tea, and they were quite different, Almost kind of reminds me of the Eastern style, like, Middle East or something. They had a nice, looking pots and different kind of, teacups and all that.
oh nice.
Yeah.
Okay, now do you guys have any ideas for radio shows or programs for immigrants specifically? What about GFN? I mean, we have Vietnamese, we have Chinese, we have Korean, we have English broadcasting. What about other
How about
immigrants?
JFN just make kind of, because the program's name is kind of multicultural kind of communities kind of one program, and this week maybe introduce kind of a Russian village, introduce kind of Chinese village, kind of like that.
I'm just wondering, with 3,000, that's a fair large
Yeah,
number
a lot.
of these specific immigrants. I'm wondering if we should make some kind of program that targets them specifically, since they are, would you say, fourth
Well,
generation ethnic Koreans?
Yeah, I feel like we have enough programs in general, but the fact that they have their own radio
Yeah, that's actually
broadcasting
pretty cool.
technique, right? I mean, I've been a part of low power FM broadcasts before, which you can cover a whole neighborhood or even more if you have
Right.
a more powerful signal. And it's really something very powerful for a community because they can control it themselves. They're not necessarily regulated by the same kinds of
Right.
rules, and they don't have to be commercial, for example, because
Right.
it doesn't cost as much money to operate.
It
So
might be actually cool, that we sometimes we get content from sister stations. It might be cool
That's
to
pretty cool.
to broadcast or rebroadcast maybe their content on GFN. That could be possible,
That's
right?
pretty nice. Yeah.
Instead
yeah,
of creating our own rebroadcast to a larger audience, if they had like a show or segment on their own radio about their cultural,
Yeah, we
that
can
might be
make
interesting
kind of
for our listeners.
language education program.
Okay. Why don't we take a quick song break and then we'll come back and discuss this topic more? How about we listen to Be Good or Be Gone by Fiona Regan? Be good or be gone.
I thought the point of our speech today was how the Koreans should react, towards those Korea population.
How we should react against them?
No, how's not
Are we
reacting against
having,
them,
are we
but
having an uprising?
no, I'm talking about how Koreans should react because there has been a lot of discrimination against Korean people, especially regarding the fourth generation who are not really ethnically Koreans.
this is the Facebook group I made, so I posted YouTube on there, but apparently
And then
the Facebook live stream didn't get it on there. So let's repost
Temporary
it.
tattoo.
Well, because I posted it, you know how you can check in?
English
you'll
Village.
Have you ever done that?
That's good.
So I was
You can,
checking
like,
in and posting the link, but then it wasn't showing up on the discussion. And why does it have to be so complicated? I don't know. But now it's posted. So
That's the computer age.
So
maybe we'll
Tim,
get-
then I
more
can ask you
viewers.
after when we get going again. I'll ask
No,
you
we don't
about
have to go to the area if you didn't want to, but I thought that was like the main focus of the topic today, not really about, making a contact with them through the broadcast.
well, we're talking. Well, our topic is basically radio for immigrants
Okay.
and Gwangju from community radio for.
Then we can skip that part, but I don't want to
If we
create
have
any
time,
more.
we can cover it. We have
There's
Nah,
GIC, right?
I don't want to
Yeah.
create any more tension for
Gwangju
the
International
racism.
Community Act.
The Russian village are disconnected.
By the way, why do I sound so low when I'm hearing myself in the radio?
Eh,
Yeah, me too.
Alright.
Are we ready?
I'm ready. I'm talking like
Oh my god.
Eh, It's like bisecting my face.
Still 4. Getting there.
Eh, eh. All right, so let's keep talking about today's topic. Do you have any more opinions that you want to add about either? Have you actually listened to their radio content, their broadcasting?
Oh no.
Oh,
not
let's
yet,
give
not
out the
yet.
signal with the number.
We should, right?
107.9 FM in Gwangju. If
Is
you're
it?
in the what's it called?
Ulgo.
Ulgon?
Work.
월급.
Wolgokdong.
There you go.
Wolgokdong area. Tune in.
Yeah.
Maybe just spin your dial around to hear some Russian talking. 'Cause
How
I
can I
don't know
reach
the
the
number.
link? There's a link on the website, or how can I find the
I'm
school?
not
I don't think
sure.
they're live
I
streaming.
don't think. Yeah, I don't think they're. I mean, as far as I'm aware, they're not like huge. They're
Uh,
just. It's like really not
Yeah.
famous, but they're promoted within their community. But
All right,
there's
I'll give it
not
out.
really
I
a
have
lot
it
of.
here.
Where can I ask?
Information.
Like GIC or
Oh, that would
mediatrend?
be probably a really good resource would be GIC, right? They would probably have a lot of information. And I imagine they have programs at the GIC who might reach out to
Oh, here it
other
is. I have it's
communities.
102.1.
102.1.
Yeah,
So
102.1. So it's Koryo FM, KORYO FM.
The frequency, right?
Yeah, that's the
102.
frequency is
102.1, right?
102.1 FM.
102.1.
You
Okay.
can only hear that if you're in that neighborhood
in
in
Wulgok area,
All right.
Wulgokdong.
So
That
tune in
makes
and see if you can
sense,
pick
you
it up.
know.
Thank you.
That'd be pretty cool to check out, though. I mean, might have to drive around till I get the signal, but
And I doubt they're broadcasting 24 hours a day. So
probably not. Do you know maybe if they broadcast in Korean and Russian? I mean, imagine they would have kept some of their native language as well as running Russian
or
Sure,
Czechoslovakia.
or
or
who knows,
Czechoslovakian. Yeah,
I
there are
don't
other
know.
Eastern Asian countries they settled in, right?
We can watch the
Well, from my personal contract with the other, other generation of the Koreans who live in like Russia or other
Right.
northern China area, generally in my experience, not a lot of them really were well informed about Korean language.
Oh,
Um,
that would have been incredibly difficult to come back here and settle here
I mean,
in
just look at-
2008 without knowing.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
just
think
look
so.
at second generations of the Koreans living in the United States. They don't speak much Korean either. So I'm
Right.
not surprised.
Right. I grew up with a Korean family in my high school, and she would speak Korean to her parents and then English outside the house, but she couldn't really read it or write it, I don't think, to speak it to her parents.
just
Kind of like my kids. They speak English to me and Korean and to everyone else.
but no, not yet.
We're learning. We're getting better at that. Now there are many Vietnamese and Chinese second or third or fourth, I guess, generation that live in Gwangju as well. DFN has already some programs for Chinese and Vietnamese that we mentioned. How can we promote these shows effectively?
I
You guys
think
have
we
any
have to
ideas?
make kind of the main kind of core resource kind of program or through GIC or this community. We have to make something new, right?
Right. I mean, we can promote on Facebook and we can promote on the radio, but if you don't listen to the radio or
You're
you're not
right.
on that particular social media platform, how can we get the word out that there are? I mean, is it
Word of mouth always works the best.
right?
It's a reliable source, right?
Is that well?
Because
If you
I
trust the
think
person,
people
if you
tend
trust
to
the person, right?
mistrust more and more
How about with
this
pictures on
media
kind of
advertising
Instagram, kind of
techniques.
like
So
that?
I don't know. To be personally, I don't really see the difference, between the oral information, conveying method compared to the media sources. Because, well, like, what's the difference,
Mhm. Like,
well,
okay,
you know, what
so
we used to do for
But-
our low power FM station. We used to spray paint on the sidewalk. Little messages.
no, we are
Graffiti.
not. I was gonna say we are not
Rebel
endorsing
radio.
graffiti.
Whoa.
Rebel radio. and
Calm
Rebel
down there,
radio,
right?
yeah.
Go.
Well, I know that if you drive down highways in Korea, you'll see huge signs when you're entering an area or leaving an area for
Billboard.
yeah, it's like really big billboards that radio. But I mean, they're like I shouldn't say they're
I'm
big.
pretty
They're
good
kind of
idea.
small, and they list the major local stations. I
Mhm.
guess in case you want news or weather, or most of them are. One of them is like a classical music playing.
That's good. And we can get a kind of help or support from the city hall.
Right.
City has a big power, and they gather kind of many sources. From
Realistically
UPRCs.
speaking, I would say the first, suggestion made by Dennis is much more viable option, like, working with GIC, because it is also common
Right.
fact that a lot of immigrants come to GIC for the, seeking for aid, such as job seeking,
Yeah.
Korean education, or finding, their housing. So
Right,
maybe you
right.
can make a contact and maybe, tell them whenever you guys are receiving a new immigrants, maybe you could have told them that there's a news sources in Gwangju that they
Right.
can listen to. If they have a problem with listening to the Korean news, obviously.
What
So,
about
yeah.
like on university bulletin boards?
Oh, that's pretty
Yeah, make flyers. And just
Yeah,
put them up
because
at
there's- I
GIC
mean,
and at the.
People always look at them, even when they're just passing out of curiosity. Oh, what are people looking for? What are people needing these days? Or, I mean, like I
Yeah.
see people advertising on like lamp posts with the the number at the bottom if you're looking for it, and then you take the number, and people
Pull a
always
little tab off.
yeah, people are always reading them, even if they don't intend to take them or they don't need them. They're always reading them to see
Put
what
the
it
radio
is.
station signal
Yeah.
But
on there.
for that,
That's a good
the
idea.
manpower should be.
Yeah, we're gonna need some extra
Yes, we need some
part-timers
volunteer.
working around.
I was gonna say, but if you could get student volunteers who are interested in radio or
There are the friends
interns,
of
yeah, the friends of GFN, right?
There is a
Ah.
volunteer
They're our own GFN army.
source. Yeah.
German army.
GFN army.
Whoa, now
See,
we're
I was
not
thinking,
some kind of.
I saw the
BTS.
train outside. They
RDS.
look dangerous.
Well, I was thinking more like the BTS has their own fan club, the BTS army. So what about like the
That's good. Oh.
the global Gwangju?
You had to bring
GFN?
the name. You had to bring the name on the show.
I may or may not be a part of that.
I like the
army.
more global Guangzhou. It's
Yeah.
pretty much good. It's not very nice.
Thank you. It's better than K-pop.
Well,
I can
actually,
like
two foreigners.
And
are
now
living
back
in
to some more K-pop.
Yeah.
No! Skip this
Slow
segment.
K-pop.
But I mean, I just feel like universities have the highest population of international students who, have a high chance of perhaps trying to settle in Gwangju after. So if you can get them when they're coming in, I mean, the amount of university students who are international students is probably higher than the amount of people who just randomly, immigrants who randomly decide to come to South Korea, right? And come to Gwangju. So I feel like you could reach more people if you put it up on like a bulletin board, like even if there's like a group, like a chat room or something for university students in certain.
Or you know how in Korea the PA system sometimes
Oh my
just
gosh.
blast information.
Yes.
You could announce GFN, listen to GFN on the PA, and then why not just play the station on the very loud PA system so like the
Okay,
entire
well.
campus can hear it, and they're
You could hijack like apartment Dongbiadushi places because
Alright.
they broadcast
Folks.
to every apartment.
right.
Folks, we're
Guys,
not here.
Yeah, I think
A
we went
citywide
too much
announcement.
over.
We're not here to promote any kind of illegal
Yes.
behaviors or any
But
kind of
actually,
criminal
like the
activities.
school announcement system, you could get permission to do that. That might be a good.
I mean, yeah, we can hijack the school system and go, hey, can we like a 30 seconds announcement about our broadcast show?
A truck. Those fruit trucks that
No,
drive
please
around?
don't. I don't want to get arrested if that's
Wait,
what
you
you're
won't get
asking.
arrested. The fruit guys don't get arrested.
Is that an election
The
too?
because
election, the election campaign with the
They know the
dancers.
right people to pay off, So
Hey, if the election people can do it, with one of those trucks with the flashing lights, GFN,
those are
GFN,
very
GFN,
exciting. I have
GFN.
to admit, yes.
No,
I
they
feel
look
like-
so immature and stupid.
I feel like it could
I'm
work.
really wondering if the 3,000 of the Korean Russian village, right? Okay, but there's a school for them or not? Or would just their
I
kids
think they
are
would. I think they would go in regular.
regular school, right?
Probably
Maybe
that's
we
why
can
they
find
moved
the
back.
resource from that school.
I don't think young.
Oh,
Gentlemen.
someone just posted on the one. This is like the YouTube.
Ooh.
So for radio listeners, we are also streaming. You can probably find the stream link. You look around and search.
Yeah.
Check YouTube and search for GFN stream, or even Facebook stream.
We
You can
will.
search for that.
Let's
We got
mention that
message
again.
there as
Player,
well.
hi first is YouTube. Hi.
I see some. Yeah, I see. This is
Okay.
in Hangul and this is
Yeah.
in
You're the
English
first time
over here. So. what's
Okay,
it
but
say?
gentlemen, we've run out of
Oh,
time.
really?
It
That's
says
all
good
the time.
chatting.
Yes, that's all the time we
Yeah,
have
good
for Talk
chatting.
and Talk,
Was it?
unfortunately. But we are going to be back next week, next Friday for live streaming, Sunday for our show.
Next week.
And we're going to talk about more media trends next week. Okay,
All
guys?
right,
Thanks
I
for
got it.
coming in, taking time out of your busy Sunday and
All
Friday.
right. Have a
And
great
see
Sunday.
you guys next week. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Is it over?
All right, it's over, but we're still live.
Yes.
Until
Oh my
we're not.
goodness.
Until they turn it
I'm
off.
going to turn it
But
off.
who
Oh,
actually
yes. We're
posted
gonna
on there? Was it just friends? I mean,